You know, I think I finally figured out the problem with this show. I mean, here I've been trying to analyze these building sets using my own human biased viewpoint, but now I realize that in order to critique Lego, I need to be Lego. So, let's just summon up my chi here, feel the yellow plastic surrounding me, and... Hey, it worked! So, now that I'm in the right mindset, let's talk about Disney Pixar's Inside Out. I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that Inside Out is probably my favorite Disney Pixar movie. A lot of you might prefer Toy Story and its nostalgia, or Up and its lesson on never being too old to live, or maybe the heartwarming father-son journey in Finding Nemo. But Inside Out, I think, has an element that has never really been explored successfully. I mean, what other things can you remember that's taken place in an anthropomorphized mind? There was Dreamscape, which a lot of you have forgotten, and Osmosis Jones, which, yeah, a lot of you are trying to forget, as well as the TV show. Psychonauts, which has sort of a cult following, but was a huge bomb when it was first released. Herman's Head, which honestly I think gets a little more hate than it deserves, but it's still pretty disconnected between its head segments and its real life segments. I think the only really successful movie that deals with the mind is Inception, but even that was more about constructing imagination and the thin barrier between reality and the mind. Inside Out is a tale of growing up and using your emotions to shape your life, which is pretty heavy stuff if you think about it. And yeah, the mind and the life segments are so closely woven together, it's impossible to have one without the other. So, as a unique and very clever idea, Inside Out stands on its own. But hey, enough about the movie. Let's talk about the Lego figures. Or the lack thereof. Well, I say lack thereof, but we might be seeing these in the future. Currently, there's a page on Lego Ideas that's trying to pitch the idea of a Lego version of the Emotions headquarters in the movie. So it's going to have things like the control panel, the ideas station, the core memories, and, of course, the humanized emotion characters. As of this video, it's still trying to get support, and yeah, it does look promising. So I'd encourage you to check it out and support it and see what happens. But if you want to cheat and get some low-quality Lego figures right now, then our new friends at SL Toys aim to please. Yep, they were so anxious to churn this out and make a buck, they didn't even have the courtesy to let the idea die first. I mean, at least the guys who did the Star Wars Ultra builds and the Poke Center made their stuff after Lego said no. So I guess let's check out what SL Toys cranked out and see what emotions I should feel right now. Continuing our theme from last week, these boxes are actually really good. Really high quality images, really high quality cardboard, and it gives enough information to give you an idea of what you're buying. Admittedly, it's not as professional looking as last week's. I mean, last week used a combination of Lego and still images to give you an idea of what sort of environment you should play in. But with these, you're not exactly given too much of a clue as to what this line even represents, what environment these guys live in, and what scenarios they would go through. On the top it shows a little bit of the control panel, but that could mean anything. So sorry, knockoff Inside Out, you are not as good as knockoff Pokemon. Yeah, I know, how insulting. So as you saw, each of these boxes has a different character from the movie. Joy, sadness, fear, anger, disgust, and of course, who's your friend who likes to play bing bong, ba-da-ba-da-ba-da, boom bom bom. And of course we have our 0 to 3 on the bottom, but our 6 to 12 on the front. Anyone in between or above those ages is thrown into the pit of forgetfulness and dissolved. And on the back, we see the entire lineup of figures, along with a disclaimer that will become very familiar to us as we look at these bootleg figures. Specifications, colors, and contents may vary from illustrations. Pictures. One final thing before we open up the boxes and look at the figures is that each one actually comes with a trading card, which is pretty typical of these knockoff figures, except these are actual character cards that have something to do with the set, as opposed to pseudo-battle trading card games that we'll see when we come back to knockoff minifigs. And here's our cast of characters! Yeah, right off the bat you can tell that these aren't as good as the box promised. What a shock, I know. The first thing off about these LEGO minifigs is that for some reason each one was given these little short guy legs, like what LEGO uses for its children or its Yoda minifigs. When they're used to introduce a scale, that's fine. But for these guys, they're all basically the same height in the movie. The only one where it really works is Anger, because he's a short guy. This is especially disappointing because this means that the legs have absolutely no articulation and you can't sit them down right. Another problem, as with a lot of knockoff figurines, is that the figures refuse to stay still on their little pegs. If you even lightly touch them, they fall over. The only guy who doesn't have this problem is Bing Bong, who is actually given real LEGO legs, which are hollowed out on the back for some reason. However, the leg pegs aren't the only loose problems here. A lot of the arms like to flop around a lot, and Bing Bong's nose will not stay still. Also, it must have been a bad hair day when they decided to make these figurines, because the hair doesn't stay on. The hair is also made out of some very strange plastic that sort of feels like a crayon. Oh, I can't draw with it. Here I was hoping that I could actually draw with Sadness's blue hair. Well, this review's ruined. And let's address the elephant in the room. Who's your friend who likes to play Bing Bong Bing? Not you. The stupid accessories everyone came with. It's pretty common with knockoff minifigs that they're given accessories that just don't make sense with the characters. I mean, Anger carrying a newspaper and Fear carrying his fear list, that makes sense. But then, what is everybody else even carrying? Joy has this weird blue rock candy scepter thing. Sadness has an orange snow cone. Disgust has a ruby. And apparently Bing Bong has been elected the 2016 Olympic torch runner. Yay! Go team! So, okay, that's all the general problems with these figurines. Let's look at each one individually. Starting with Joy. Oh boy, Joy, are you feeling alright? You're kind of looking a little green around the gills. So either they were looking at some really blurry images of the LEGO figurines, or they just didn't have the right paint lying around and they decided to make it anyway. Also take off Joy's hair, and we see that it is actually not Joy, but her cousin, Derp. Sadness actually looks a lot better. Her clothes and her coloring are more accurate, and she has a much better expression on her face. For some reason, though, her hair is made out of an especially rubbery plastic that's even more malleable than the others. I know Sadness can take many forms, but I don't think this is what they had in mind. Disgust is pretty much the same quality as Sadness, except her hair is a lot stiffer. But something that I forgot to mention is that the hands are strangely very badly molded. It looks like they were two separate pieces that were molded together, and somehow they managed to miss putting them together. So as a result, the bottom aims a little more left than the top. And now we move on to Fear. Wow! I had no expectations as to what Fear would look like in LEGO form, but there had to be a better design than this. Actually, there are. Two of them. For some reason, they decided to give Fear this weird fisheye look. Just look at those two giant eyeballs on either side of his head. It makes the hair on the top of his head look like a fin. It looks like he's ready to eat somebody. There is nothing to fear but fear itself. Also, I absolutely love that they bothered to give detail to this little fear list he's holding. Steak, fried rice, dish, gruel, beef, drink, milk, noodles, and chicken. Strangely, no broccoli on there. I actually love what they did for Anger here. It looks like they took an armor plate, didn't cut out the top, and instead painted a face on the front. It looks just like Anger. I am impressed with this one. Until, you know, his head falls off because it's not secured on there. Also, Anger's newspaper here really got a chuckle out of me. I'm not gonna ruin the joke by explaining it, but trust me, you're gonna get some enjoyment out of it. And finally, once again, we have Bing Bong. And for a character they had to build from scratch, this is amazing. I'm surprised that they could even come up with a head like this. The 3 pink squares to represent a rounded head, the trunk on the front, the eyes on this little teeny square, and of course this little black hat. But once again, why did they give him a torch? Why not a bag or a memory ball or something fitting to his character? You know, like a wagon that runs on song power. Oh, that's only unlockable in the full version apparently. So on the whole, these figures are actually very well put together. They have their problems, sure, but they look like their characters. There was a lot of thought put into how to build them with contemporary Lego bricks. And they did introduce me to the actual Lego Ideas site. So if you want to see what the prototypes look like, then go ahead and buy these. If you want the real thing, please support the Lego Ideas page. So originally I was going to end the video here, but then I found out that there's another line of Inside Out characters. Yes, 2 different companies actually put out different sets of Inside Out characters. What do they look like? Well, like this. Yeah, apparently these don't have boxes. I've searched everywhere for them and I can't find a single one. So yeah, right off the bat, you can tell that there are a few different things about these figurines than the last one. For one thing, they're all given normal Lego legs, which is great because that means that I can actually pose them in different positions. And once again, we have the mismatching accessories, except this time I think that there was a lot of alcohol involved. 4 out of the 6 characters have wine glasses, and for some reason Fear here has a loaf of bread. Also, it looks like Disgust here is having a peach daiquiri, while Sadness is content with her screwdriver. Only the best booze for our emotional heroes. So beginning with Joy again, you can tell right off the bat that there's something off about her. No, it's not the fact that she's riding a skateboard. And no, it's not the fact that her hair actually looks better here than on the last figure. No, it's because Joy looks like she's got a little pink eye here. Yeah, Joy, you might want to take a look at that before you get back to work. That can't be healthy for the others. Actually, can emotions get sick? Sadness, on the other hand, has a less accurate hairstyle that actually fits on better and is made out of a much harder plastic, but on the whole, she's pretty much the same as the other character. Same thing with Disgust, except I think they forgot that she had a green skin color because her hands are white. Oh boy, looks like a few emotions are gonna have to go get a checkup. Anger, he appears to have grown a few feet since last we met him, and his head is actually just a mask put on a different Lego head. Also, apparently they got him confused with the devil because now his hair is made completely out of flame and he's carrying a pitchfork. But if you think that's a bit freaky, then here is Fear in all of his freakiness. Just, wow! What were they even thinking when they made this character? I mean, the body looks okay. It looks similar to the last one and has a little bit more color, though once again they miscolored the hands. But the freaking head! Okay, on the one hand, I'm glad that they bothered to make a head that actually looks like Fear's head, but did they have to make it so big and so terrifying? Just look at those eyes. They stare into your soul. Also, on the bottom of the head, there are these little tentacle things. This thing is becoming a Lovecraftian monster with every passing second. I am the Alpha and the Omega. Oh, get away. We already have a character like that. And this time, instead of Bing Bong, we have this character, who's also on a skateboard, who looks exactly like Disgust, only her skin color is white and her dress is a much darker green. I have no idea what this figure is supposed to be. Is it supposed to be Riley? Well, if it's supposed to be Riley, then why didn't they give her a yellow dress and brown hair? Is this supposed to be another emotion? The only emotion I can think of that wasn't covered in the movie was boredom, but was boredom even an emotion? I mean, disgust is technically a part of anger, I guess, so boredom could be a different character, but then again, that could mean that it could be anxiety instead of fear, and no, they just had an extra mold somewhere and they decided to throw in another character for absolutely no reason. So on the whole, these characters are interesting. I can't say that there is as much professionalism with these characters, except for the fact that they actually fit together, but they are very interesting. You have to wonder what they were thinking as they were making these characters. I mean, what's up with their wine glasses? What's up with the skateboard? Why does Fear look so freaky? Why does he have a loaf of bread? Why is Anger so tall? What is up with this character? But on the whole, it's a lot of fun. If you're going to get the other set, then you might as well get this set too. After all, this might be the beginning of an alternate universe that Pixar can set the next Inside Out sequel in. So now I guess there's nothing left to do but see what's under Anger's mask.